Who is the best basketball player ever? Now, some may say LeBron, some may say KD, Kobe, MJ. Well, none of that matters right now because I'm about to make the best player ever. Alright, I'm about to play this little game, and I'm about to take certain aspects of every player, like certain aspects of the game and certain aspects of players' game, and put it into this one player to make a perfect sale. If you get what that is, and if you don't get it, you'll get it as I am going along. There is one rule to this. I said that I could not use more than one aspect of a player's game on this player, right? So say for example, I wanted to use Jordan's finishing and his mid-range. I couldn't do that. I would have to pick either use his finishing or his mid-range. I couldn't use it for more than one aspect. So without further ado, let's get into it. For the body. Now, my first thought, I knew I wanted somebody who was like 6'8". So, the only two players off the top of my head that my brain could think of was Tracy McGrady and LeBron James. And I didn't want to use body on LeBron. I feel like I could use something more important. And this player is not, I don't like when LeBron dribbles the ball. He just looked dumb to me because of how stocky he is. So, it's not appealing to the eye when LeBron is handling the ball and being flashy. So, for that, I picked Tracy McGrady. Alright, simple enough. Strength, Shaq. I don't even have to explain that. Speed, I went Westbrook, but honorable mention to Dwayne Wade. I feel like, I didn't even look up their 40 times or nothing, but I just picked Westbrook because he's the fastest player that I've sit there and watched play basketball. I didn't really start watching basketball when Dwayne Wade was in his prime and he was just at his fastest. So Russell Westbrook's the fastest person I've ever seen play basketball. So that's why I picked him. Vertical Vince Carter. Again, another thing. I don't really have to explain too much mentality. I ended up picking Michael Jordan for this, but I could have went, and the only three people I was going to pick was LeBron, Kobe, or MJ. Nah, I threw Kobe out immediately because Kobe, he didn't rest enough. He destroyed his body because of his extreme work ethic. He didn't know how to rest, so I automatically throw him out. And another thing with LeBron, I just felt like I could use him for something else. And I like Jordan's mentality when he approached the game, especially like watching The Last Dance. I hate referencing The Last Dance for anything Michael Jordan related, and it's probably gonna be the last time I ever do that. But yeah, IQ LeBron. I could have went Chris Paul, and I want to go Chris Paul. But Chris Paul is going to be my leadership category, and I needed him for that for sure. And LeBron has photographic memory, and like if you hear his teammates like Iman Shumpert or Richard Jefferson, or like when they talk about LeBron in the locker room and how smart he is, and like in the Toronto series when he was yelling out other players' plays, you can just see how smart he is, and the amount of film he watches, I would imagine, is enormous. Just hearing his teammates talk about him, so that's why I just want IQ for LeBron. Leadership, I want Chris Paul. A part of me didn't want to do this because I've known, like, I know it was stories that he had, like, drama with Blake Griffin. I know it was stories that he had drama with James Harden. But when I sit there and watch Chris Paul play and he just makes all his teammates better, he seems like a cool guy. Even like with interviews with his teammates, they always laughing and joking. Or like even like Lou Dort, him pushing Lou Dort last year and making SGA better last year. And then when you hear Devin Booker talk about him this year, he seems like, just a good guy to have in your locker room. And I essentially wanted like a Superman, like, just a positive leader. I didn't want nobody like Michael Jordan that is short temper and fear-mongered their teammates. So that's why I ended up going Chris Paul for this. Shooting, I went Damian Lillard. Now, obviously, I'm supposed to go Stephen Curry. But because of the stipulation I put on myself when making this thing, what was I going to say? I wanted to use Stephen Curry for something else. And Damian Lillard can get the job doing the three-point shooting. I needed somebody. I couldn't pick Clay because I wanted somebody who can shoot it like off of, they have their own shot creation off the three. Like they can shoot it off the dribble. And although Clay can do that, most of the time when he's shooting off the dribble, it's 1-2 pull-ups, I'm talking about somebody that's bringing the ball off the court, got set a high screen, and now he's about to pull from the logo. So that's why I end up picking Dame. Mid-range shooting, I went Kevin Durant. Another self-explanatory one. Post game, I went Kobe. My first instinct was to go Hakeem. But I didn't because I needed a guard-oriented post game because this player is 6'8", not 7'1". So I needed somebody who's gonna be able to hit the post fade at an elite level. Is gonna be able to face up and all that kind of stuff. But for footwork, I did go Hakeem. Obvious enough. Finishing, Kyrie Irving. I think Kyrie is probably the third best finisher of all time. He knows every spot on the backboard. He knows when to go up and under. He has a beautiful left and right. His offhand. So if he's right-handed, his left hand. If he's left-handed, his right hand. I think he's right-handed. So his left hand is probably better than most NBA players' dominant hand. Like, Kyrie is an amazing finisher, and I should have used him for ball handling. But I feel like since I already used Bron, I already used MJ, I needed a great finisher, and it's enough point guards and two guards who have great ball handling that I could use that'll get away with that. Playmaking, this is why I picked Dame for shooting. I need Stephen Curry because the gravity that Stephen Curry has off the ball, he gets his teammates so open. Like, you do not understand if he has a little bit of help how good a Stephen Curry oriented team would be. And he's a good enough passer, but just his off-ball gravity period is enough to where I have to take his playmaking. And then next for rebounding is easily Dennis Rodman. The only other player you could like kind of say would be like Bill Russell, but Dennis Rodman was grabbing 15 boards in the glory days for centers. And with the playing against some of the best centers ever and one of the most physical eras ever. So that's easily Dennis Rodman. Off-ball defense, I kind of had a struggle with this, but I just had to remember game footage, right? Because looking up the best off-ball defenders all the time did not help me. So I just had to go off the top of my head, kind of. Not the top of my head, but just, like, think back. Because I couldn't pick nobody like LeBron, because he was already taken, and he's one of the best off-ball defenders I know, at least in the Miami days. I didn't want to pick Dwayne Wade. And I just thought about, like, Tony Allen, his ability to deny players off the ball. Like, not make sure that they don't even touch the ball in a possession is amazing. So I had to go ahead and pick Tony Allen for that. On-ball defense is Kawhi. It's pretty much, straight up. And that'll pretty much do it. If I had to say who, like, this player reminds me the most of, a player with Michael Jordan's mentality, Damian Lillard's three-point shooting, Kobe's post game, Curry's playmaking, all these things and stuff like that. The player that this reminds me most of had to be Deion Waiters.